how can Decelera help startups? I think it's a perfect combination of teaching traditional stuff about investment and pitches, plus really getting connected to themselves. Because ultimately we're all humans, right? And something that actually makes us recharge is the ability to talk to like-minded people, the ability to stay in the nature, decelerate a little bit sometimes. It's a long journey, really, and I think this is a great example of both, the combination of seeing really interesting people from around the world, getting some advice from top experts, very experienced entrepreneurs, but also an opportunity to remember who we are, really humans, and be a bit playful, enjoy the beautiful scenery of Menorca, have some fun local experiences like cooking paella as a team, which we did today, and it was very fun. How can startups think, and should they really think about sustainability? I absolutely think that they should, because if you have been watching any news, you know that our planet is in a deep crisis. But also I think that our minds and we as humans are in deep crisis, because we're exposed to this digital obesity. We have so much information, much of this is irrelevant, and I think the company of the future really needs to start looking into how they can be more responsible. The resources are not limited, they are not unlimited. Human attention is not, in fact, not unlimited. I think it's the CEO of one of the big companies, either YouTube or Netflix, said that they're competing with sleep. I don't think this is healthy for startups to do this anymore, because you can't push the planet, you can't push other people's attention more and more, which means that the startups have to look into more sustainable business models, more sustainable KPIs as well, key performance indicators. Can we really, for example, I specialize in all things digital addictions, our dependence on our devices. Can we really say that when the person is clicking on the app for that many times, or picking up their phones every 4 minutes, are they really engaged, or are they just being dependent? And what is it creating for you? And is it really creating for you loyal customers, or is it just are you in this battle, the rat battle, really, to get to the most, to the worst of our parts, just to keep us distracted. And there are so many problems out there in the world that should be solved and need to be solved. And the pollution, for example, or helping people be really more human. And it's beautiful to see some of those startups that share this philosophy, and they're really thinking about the impact that they have, and also that they want to build their business in a sustainable way, whether it's sustainable for the nature, whether it's sustainable in terms of respecting people's attention. How can we be more human when we're developing technology? So one of the things that I'm always advocating is thinking about longer time consequences. Now, I'll give you a simple example. When the game Pokemon Go was released, there were about 14 car accidents and more than 100,000 potential hazardous situations just in the first week of the game being released, because guess what? People were driving and playing the game, of course. So after this information was revealed, the company actually introduced the speed limit, so you couldn't play anymore if you were going beyond a certain speed. Now the question is, why didn't they think about this before? It's a no-brainer. So what I'm advocating is actually to think about what are some of the longer-term consequences that whatever you're doing now will have on people. And you can actually test this. You can have tests on groups, because we test for usability, of the app, of the program. But do we really think about how is this going to change the life of people, groups of people in 2, 3, 4 years? For example, if Facebook were thinking about it, when they were introducing their elements of addictive design, then probably we wouldn't be facing today such a big attentional crisis as we do, or privacy crisis. So I think we really need to start thinking about these things. How can we introduce more mindful KPIs, for example. I was working with a bank, a young disruptive bank, and they came to me and said, hey, we actually want to create an app that makes our users more engaging. So how can we do that? Yeah, okay, how do you understand engagement? He goes, well, we want to make people pick up the phone more often. Why? Why exactly do you want to do that? Well, everyone does that. Yeah, okay, that's great, but what is your business model? Is your business model based on how much time people spend in online, on how much, like, what is it based? No, it's transaction based. They go, okay, so what is the relation? But our investors are telling us this. They go, okay, so it actually takes guts, right, to go back to the investor and says, I'm sorry, my business model is different than the model of Facebook. I'm not in this business, like my business is different. It's actually in the interest of financial companies to make sure that people make very rational decisions, and we can't make rational decisions if we're constantly distracted. That's Daniel Kahneman writes about System 1 and System 2. Everything that has to do with immediate decisions is very spontaneous. It's a decision that's very often biased, and to take like decisions, for example, about longer term investment, we need some more time. What does this mean? Well, this means that basically the new generation of companies that still have the opportunity to establish themselves in the world, they will have the competitive advantage if they start thinking more about like different models, not to be acting like Facebook, because Facebook already is occupying a very big chunk of capturing our attention. If you're a young disruptive bank, there is no reason of why people need to be picking up the phone to check your mobile app all the time. You can provide to them value in a different way. It's a great idea. I've actually been contemplating for a while what it would be like to have a farmhouse and live somewhere else, and would it be actually in isolation from the rest of the world? And for me, it's great to see that no, actually, it doesn't have to be. You can create your environment, invite people into it, and by setting up your own example,